All right, everybody, we made it. It's Friday. I'm happy to say that. Crazy week. We're not done, unfortunately. We have to get through today, but we'll get through it like we always do. So yes, it is Friday, March 18th, 2022. Let's talk a little bit. What's happening right now is the Federal Reserve is playing their game, people. How many times have we seen the same thing? What am I talking about? Well, we heard from Federal Reserve President James Bullard yesterday, post-market, and he is explaining how the Federal Reserve needs to be very aggressive raising rates moving forward. Well, market doesn't like to hear that, of course. And as I am doing this video blog, stock futures are lower on the back of that. You got the Dixie, or the relative strength of the dollar, making a nice jump higher this morning. Okay, watch what they're going to do. Maybe even later today, they're going to float out some other creature from the Fed to say the polar opposite. They do the same thing. It's got to be some kind of scripted dog shit kind of theatrical event. They got this freak saying one thing, this freak saying another thing, and it goes back and forth. And with every word that comes out of the mouth of one of these Fed presidents, the market does this. Look, it's just a game. You all know that. But the bottom line is this, sincerely, the Fed is going to continue, in my view, to nudge the federal funds rate higher moving forward. And look what they're doing. It's kind of interesting, but I think you're going to understand what's happening in just a second here. The Federal Reserve is fractionally raising rates into an economy that is in free fall. I know a lot of you are looking at the yield curve. I look at the yield curve all the time, and yes, it is flattening out. So what is the signal there? What is the sign from the yield curve that our economy is in free fall? Duh! I mean, come on, man. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here, and it's all by design. Again, I told you, and I've been telling you for the longest time, the Fed, their goal here is to keep the economy under pressure, to keep the people under pressure as they fulfill their endgame, to be the lender and buyer of last resort, to continue to pull cash out of the future, to somehow miraculously create events out of thin air that require billions, tens of billions, and maybe even trillions of dollars being thrown at it, like the current war, which is going to expand one way or the other. I think you are very well aware of the situation here. So that's what's happening right now. We got this back and forth. Well, it's going to be a back and forth game that they always play. We got Bullard, bullshitter, whatever the freak his name is. He's been out here for a while now talking about how the Fed needs to be aggressive. And what happened? We got a whole whopping, tremendous 1% Think about that. Let's ponder that for a moment. So the Federal Reserve is really concerned about inflation. You know that, okay? We have, skyrocketing inflation at like 8% according to their numbers, but they raised the federal funds rate 1/4%. Oh, that's because they're really, really, really concerned about inflation. No, they don't care at all. They want to continue to inflate, and you know that. They want to keep you and me under as much pressure as they possibly can, while they continue to push cash into the stock market. Sure, on the back of Bullard's comment, we have a little bit of a fear trade here. How do we know that? Well, the dollar, that knee-jerk higher that we got, that's clearly some kind of a safety trade going on. 10-year yield looking good, 2.17, but I'm going to say this is a slight safety trade, which appears to be preceding a little bit of a fear trade. We have stock futures lower, nothing major. I mean, we just came off 3 days. 3 days of pretty nice stock market, gains. So you should expect a little bit of a drop here and there. Again, nothing just goes straight up. The market has done exactly what you and I have realized it would do after the Fed announcement. Started actually before, the day before the Fed announcement. We put on like 600 points. with regard to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The day before the Fed made their announcement, it gets leaked out what the Fed's actually going to do, of course. And then obviously the day of the announcement, we had another rally. We have a rally yesterday. And, I think this took a lot of people by surprise. Some people didn't believe the Fed was going to raise rates. You and I knew they would. It was widely expected anyway that the Fed was going to do something. This rate hike scenario has been baked into the market for a long time. The previous meeting, I believe they were going to raise rates. They did not. It was already priced into the market. What did the market do? Just as you and I expected, it responded negatively. The Fed said, oh, we're not going to do anything. The market dropped. It recovered quickly, as we knew it would as well. And right now, again, look how the market's responding. And I believe sincerely, let's say the next FOMC meeting, they nudge the federal funds rate again 25 basis points, the market's going to go higher. Financials, banks are going to do very well here. This is how I've been positioning myself. You all know that I own the banks. I've been a big advocate here, owning the big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. I've been buying the dip on the way down, and it's going to pay off so big down the pike. I'm looking forward. Look, you got to have a little vision here, okay? With regard to energy and crude oil, I mean, we couldn't have done better. My Lions were in ExxonMobil, CVX, we're looking at DVN, not just yet. Put on a fantastic gain yesterday. I'd like to see Devon Energy pull back a little bit. When the time is right, in my view, I will post it to my website, traderschoice.net, where I have the rest of my stock picks, both short-term and long-term. Go have a look at that. And also, speaking about my website, I am so happy to see more of you utilizing the chat room there. I'm consistently having to add spaces. It cost me money to run that thing. Okay, I buy spaces in the chat room for you. So I hope you take advantage of that chat room. There's a lot of great people there, a lot of smart people there. Anyway, so that's really the story today. Now, something else interesting is going on here. Today, I want you to be aware of this. It's options expiration day, triple witching. So you should expect volatility today, especially in the last, let's say, hour, half an hour, 15 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised to see this market make some pretty big moves here. And we'll talk about next week. All right, so the situation is what it is right now. We have stock futures lower, a little bit of a safety trade going on with the knee-jerk higher in the dollar. We got the game the Federal Reserve always plays. They're going to float out somebody else. I don't know. Maybe they're going to float out the ghoul of the Federal Reserve. You all know who that is, Loretta Mester. I mean, she's some kind of thing. I hate every single one of these Fed presidents, okay? All they do is mislead you and distract you, lie, all of them. And the Fed chair himself, we haven't had one single word of truth out of the Federal Reserve in I don't know how many years. And then you got, again, yesterday, it's such a joke. It makes me laugh, literally, roll all over the freaking floor when you hear the mainstream propaganda ministries, oh, the Federal Reserve, how did they get inflation so wrong? No, they're doing exactly what they said they would do. They want to do. That is inflate. And they're going to lie about it as much as they possibly can. Oh, it's transitory. It's going to go away pretty soon. We haven't seen anything yet, people. And with regard to the Federal Reserve here, again, raising the federal funds rate, 25 basis points, 0.25%. They continue to buy assets. They continue to flood the world with dollars, sending dollars to central banks around the world who are buying assets with them. They continue to buy mortgage-backed securities. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for one of our loving, caring representatives to, pull the Fed chair aside, or maybe publicly, and say, hey, why? We have surging, out of control real estate prices, and you guys continue to buy mortgage-backed securities. Can you explain why you're doing that? You see, we'll never hear that because we don't have a single representative that, stands for us, we the people. We lost. This country and the world is run by central banks, people. You all know that. And there's no way on the earth, or without divine intervention, and I mean that, without divine intervention, central banks are going to solidify their position here as the one world government that we all knew was coming. This is been their goal since their inception. Once they got this stranglehold on the financial system, the world financial system, that was it. They won. And they knew all they had to do was wait. And that's exactly what they have done. It's a pretty disgusting situation here. Anyway, just real quick, we got Bitcoin still around 41,000. Cryptocurrency doing pretty well. Gold and silver this morning, nice jump lately today, under a little bit of pressure here. Crude oil, I mean, $104, $105 a barrel, talking about WTI going much, much higher. I have no doubt that we're going to hit heights with which people are not going to believe. Energy, commodities are the place to be, people. You know how to take advantage of this. It's right on my website, traderschoice.net, all the ticker symbols that you need to know about. So I hope you're utilizing that resource. I hope you're utilizing my free newsletter. Again, link in the description of this video. I got your back. I always tell you that. I won't let you down no matter what. I'm going to try my best to get it right. I won't get it right all the time, but I'm going to try my best to get it right at least most of the time, which is all we need. It's all we need, all right? Nobody on this planet can get it right 100% of the time. We're all human beings. We're not infallible. And that's it. All right, look, this guy here sincerely loves all of you, and I mean that like you have no idea. I really mean that. We're a team. We're a family. Hundreds of thousands of us all over the world, and we're making a difference, and that is just so important. That's really matter. That's why I'm here. All I want to do is make a positive difference in your life and in the world. That's really the truth. All right, I'm so out of here. I'll see you later at the end of the day. We'll sum this whole freak show up. It's going to be great. And that's it.